So we did a little just looking in the resources, and these guys are really nice because they code their tools just like professional software. The resources have versioning information, even a copyright, which is kind of funny because China doesn't have copyrights.
Yeah.
And they have a website of where this DLL comes from. So, you know, the nice thing is every time you get this exploit pack, you know exactly where you got it because the resources tell you. This is just another example. So, between the two DLLs that we found that come packaged with all of these, there's really not that many differences. They essentially have a very similar number of functions, imports and exports. A little bit of functionality has been added to one versus the other. And it turns out, as we reverse engineer this, that it's just a skin building program. If you noticed earlier, all of those screenshots of the different tools look very similar, kind of the same. So they've standardized on one GUI, and they just keep reusing that GUI over and over again so that the people using the tool are familiar with it. So we sort of tracked some information in these files back to this company here. This company has two names, Skin++ and UI Power. And it turns out this is a legitimate, you know, vendor that sells graphical development tools to tons of companies in China. Like all these big professional Huawei and other companies use this tool to build their applications. So these guys either just stole this tool or they bought it and are using it to build their exploit packs. So yeah, this is just some more screenshots of their resources.
Another very popular in the China malware history is this 灰盖子, is Great Pigeon. Actually, it's a very famous one because you know, you could get it to get, I mean, the summary, like the capture screens, keystrokes, still user accounts, password, download file, upload files, shutdown services. Then it is written in Turbo C. Actually, the source code is available and somewhere else, then you could search it. Okay, it's in archive with RL. I got source code. Just drop me email. I send you source code. If it is infected by any way, then I don't liable for your infection. Okay. Okay, code we will, man. Then it is. I mean, but the time is it is stopped. I mean, suspended officially because they get a company and sell it off, but they stopped it 3 years ago. However, there are many variants. And you find it here, for example, then you could choose to add the packer or use the packer. Use UPX packer. And this is the screenshots of Pond. Yep. Then you find the site, 灰盖子.net is an official company site, but it is done already, okay? And you will find the screenshots, then capture screen, and capture the video and audio, and well, then also like to open your camera wherever. It's very complete.
Yeah, so that's pretty significant to see a piece of malware that literally just has click buttons to turn on your audio mic and steal any audio that's in the room, or turn on the video camera and take pictures of what's going on. Literally one click. So this tool has a few different components. There's the HClient.exe, that's the main program that generates the server executable that you use to infect people with. When this program's run, it generates a config file called operate.ini, and there are a few other files that come with it. So this one here is literally like the EULA. They have an official EULA for this backdoor, which is kind of interesting. They have a disclaimer saying that, you know, they're not liable for any bad things that might happen if you use their software. And they call themselves Gray Pigeon Studio. All right, so they even have a changelog, so you can track improvements to this backdoor as time goes on. And it's really pretty a detailed product. They're doing this as professionally as they can. There's another file sort of buried down deep in the directory that's kind of interesting, and we haven't been able to figure out what they do with this file because we haven't really seen it be read yet. But in this file is these huge lists of things like Earthlink, Genuity, Marlborougugh College, Spelman College. There's all these universities and companies, Hewlett-Packard, just listed in this DAT file. On the other side is a bunch of other things that look like numbers. We actually started looking up some of these numbers, and they're electronics parts numbers. So I'm not sure what this file is for, but it comes packaged with this Gray Pigeon tool. Kind of interesting. All right, so now we're going to move on to the Banquet of Malware. We're basically going to cover a selection of different malware samples. So the first sample was actually found in an intrusion investigation. It's called SVO host. I've got some file details here, which I'm not going to really read, but you can grab the slides later and take a look at these, see if maybe you have this on your system. But actually, believe it or not, ClamAV picks this up as the exploit MS08067.
Which is because the actual exploit is packaged inside of the exe itself. It can deploy that exploit.
Yeah, for like lateral attack. So we deobfuscated this, took a look deep into the exploit, and found the string here, phantom, spelled in leet speak, as well as an email address. So we started searching around, and actually there's a Chinese security team called the Phantom Security Team. So this tool is highly likely to have been written by this team. It looks like they've sort of given up the team here, but yeah, it's interesting that it's pretty easy to find who developed the tools if you find the tools. Another example is a tool that we have here. This tool wouldn't actually execute on my VM. I think it had VM detection, but it would execute enough that I could grab it in a debugger, and it actually titles itself with the website of the organization that built it, Dark Team. We have another tool here that is an SQL scanning tool. So you have a whole variety of options. It's really advanced. And we just went ahead and scanned ourselves with it to see what the output looks like. You put in the target, you put in some parameters, you tell it what kind of scan you want to do and if you want to obfuscate your scan, and then it just attacks the target for you. So another tool that we found was actually packed with Armadillo. It's just sort of your typical attack tool. It generates a lot of batch files. In the course of reversing and understanding a lot of the malware samples, what we found is they love using batch files. They scatter batch files all over the system. In this case, they use one called winnet.bat. What that basically does is it generates an internet link underneath WinRAR. So if you have WinRAR installed, it'll stick this in there. If you don't, it'll actually create this directory and put this here. And then add everything it needs to add to the registry to operate this, and then start an executable. So we took a look at that, and what this internet link does is it executes this program that drops a DLL on your system. The DLL happens to be named mchicken.zp.dll. If you remember, we said what chicken was earlier. So, it makes another startup.bat, which essentially injects this mchicken, sets it up as a service, and there you go, your box is owned. So the next example, actually ClamAV picks it up as Trojan Online Games, which fits with what Anthony was saying earlier, which is that the target of most of these attacks is to capture game accounts. This is another tool that we located that's a SQL Injection tool. It functions similar to the previous one, except it has way more functionality and is very, very useful and very easy to run. So we got about 5 minutes left. Our conclusions are essentially the Chinese hacker community uses forums for communication as well as QQ, versus here we use other methods. They very rapidly can deploy simple standard GUI tools for the latest 0 days, even 0 days we don't know about yet. And the tools are full of all kinds of identifying marks, as well as the output of those tools that we can sort of signature on or look for. And just like us, we have criminal hacker problems over there like we do here. We both suffer from the same kind of problems. And it's interesting to see how rapidly they jump in their shellcode sophistication. And the use of 0 days is very prevalent. So we really want to do more collaboration like this, maybe have a China track in the future, bring more researchers over from there to sort of help us understand where they're going in their community. And we found this to be very valuable collaboration between the two of us. And I'll let these guys comment if they have anything further.
Yep. Actually, later on, will be much more collaboration between in our team than about the malware. Do you want me to talk about the little mouse?
No, we don't have time.
Yep. Actually, I've got another slide about the downloaders of the China downloaders, but the time is insufficient right now. Then maybe I will put it on the web later on, share with you guys, and also in the Q&A room. Then we could brief it to you more.
Questions?
Any questions?
Thanks for waiting.
Yep. Thank you.